Good morning, everybody. Shefa bruche v'atzluche. Okay. Parashat Yitro. Parasha when Am Yisrael endly are getting the Torah. And as we know, the whole idea of Am Yisrael getting out of Egypt and becoming a nation is in order to get to the Mount of Sinai, receive the Torah, and then, it's not ending, walking into Eretz Israel and keeping these three things together, which is the message, which is the task, and which is our mission. The connection between Am Yisrael, Torah Israel, and Eretz Israel. This is the idea. And this is now on the way to be done. And there are a few interesting things that we have to check. First of all, this is a parsha that is called Yitro, which is very strange. And we all know, we talked about it in the past, if the parsha's got a name, the name's got a meaning. And if it's after a person, so there is a lot to learn from this person. And the title of our parsha is Yitro. And Yitro is really the first Ger Tzedek, the first one who converted to become Jewish, and he did it intentionally and thinking about it to understand who he is. He was Kohen Midian. This is not just another guy. This is, if we want like to imagine and to take have a picture of it, imagine to yourself the Pope in Rome gets out on this porch in the Vatican, the thousands of people are standing down there, and he's declaring in front of everybody, listen people, our religion is stupid, not true. The only true religion is the Jewish religion, etc. This is something that you cannot even imagine. But this is Yitro. Yitro comes and he says, that's it. I checked everything. I worshipped all those idols. And now I know that there is only one, God. He is the one, the only one. There's nothing except God. But Yitro is not the only one who heard what was happening. And here we have our Parsha, a way of hearing things, to get to the level of seeing the voices. Am Yisrael are seeing voices. It's unbelievable. This is a level that we have to understand what's the meaning of it. So first of all, let's see. When we talk about hearing, what is happening to Am Yisrael? Shirat Hayam last week is written very clearly, Az nimvalu al Edom, Elei Moab yochazeh morad, namogo the Torah is telling us, and we say it in Shirat Hayam every morning, that everybody got a fright and understood the greatness of God. What did they do about it? Nothing. They went on with life like nothing. In other words, they know there is a God. They know there is only one God, but it doesn't suit them. So it comes from here and goes there. Okay, they were frightened, they were thinking, but it went on.
The crossword met here. Crossword.
Please, if anybody wants to talk, you can open your mics and talk, but otherwise, be mute so you don't disturb others. Okay, so now, we see what all the nations, all the goyim around heard, got a fright. Then we see an unbelievable guy, Amalek. Amalek hears the same thing, but instead of getting a fright or leaving it, he comes and fights against Am Yisrael. And showing us and teaching us a big lesson in life. Sometimes we know the truth, but we don't want to know about the truth. And sometimes even worse, we fight the truth. We convince ourselves that the truth is a lie because we don't want to live with the idea that what we are doing is wrong and the other side is right. So this is Amalek inside of each one of us, fighting the truth. But then comes the Torah and tells us this is one guy who heard and did something about it. Who is this guy? Yitro. Yitro, Vayishma Yitro Kohen Midian. And Yitro, the Kohen of Midian, the Torah is specifically telling us that he's not just another goy. This is Kohen Midian. This is the high priest of idol worshippers. And this...
Can't hear.
Sorry?
I can't hear anything.
So look, maybe you've got a problem with the voice.
I have.
No, maybe it's try and make it higher. Your speakers, you see where your speakers are?
Sorry.
Press on the speaker and see if it's loud enough. And if not, just make it loud enough. Because I hear you very clearly. So things are working. So check that your speaker. Okay?
No.
Do you hear now? Okay, I hope you will manage to do it. And if not, you will listen to the shiur
Where
later.
can you turn on yours if it hasn't sent to you?
Okay. So Yitro is doing the right thing. He hears what God wants him to do. He looks for the truth. And then unbelievable things happen that we see that he not only comes and he wants to hear about it, he also gives an advice to Moshe Rabbeinu what to do, how to do his job, which is also unbelievable. A guy comes and tells Moshe Rabbeinu, the great Moshe Rabbeinu, Lo kam b'Yisrael k'Moshe od. He needs a guy to tell him what to do. And
The
this
guy
guy is
tells him what to
telling
do.
him, you are wrong, you're not doing right. And Moshe Rabbeinu is listening and doing what he's saying, which is also an unbelievable thing. But the thing is, the Torah wants to show us. If you think that God chose us because we are clever, no. God chose us because we love God, because we are the children of Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. This is why God loves us, because we are his children, beloved children, not because we are clever. Because some people can think, okay, the Jews are clever, that's why God chose them. No. We see this guy, which is very clever, and comes to Moshe and tells him, sorry, you cannot work like this. And we have to understand, what is he really telling him? He's telling him something very interesting. Moshe Rabbeinu is standing there, and he's judging everybody. Everybody comes to him with the questions. And Yitro telling him, you cannot work like this, it doesn't work. And what does it mean to us in life? We will see it also in Parashat Mishpatim. We cannot go to the rabbi and ask him every question we've got. This is stupid. What should I do now? What should I do now? You have to know things that you can do by yourself. Not on every small things you go to the chief rabbi. Okay, if you have a problem, you go to the rabbi of the shul, you go to the rabbi of the neighborhood, you go to the rabbi of the town, and then if they don't help you and they don't know enough, then you go to Gdol Ador, then you go to the chief rabbi. But it's impossible that for every question, you see, the idea is we all want to be close to God. We all want to connect ourselves the best way. And the best way to connect is through Moshe Rabbeinu, because Moshe Rabbeinu knows it all. So he can give us exactly in every mitzvah, in everything we do, the way to get close to God as much as we can. But is it right to do this? It sounds right. But it's like this village that this guy came and they gave him water and the water was dirty. So he told them, this is the water you drink. You have to pure the water. You have special filters and then you can pure the water. Then you drink them. Don't drink water.
Purify.
And they heard him. And a month later, he comes back to visit this town and he sees the whole town is burned down. He says, what happened here? He says, don't ask. We started filtering the water. Until we finished filtering the water, the whole town was burned. It's what, you crazy or something? If you have to save the city, you use whatever you've got. Then what you can filter the water. But now it's dangerous. It's life and death. And this is why. This was a discussion in one of the meetings of Agudat Israel years ago. And they were talking about the people that leave the tradition and they don't believe anymore, and we have to try and take them back. And in this discussion, got up one rabbi says it's impossible. You need to let's say to teach people how to do it, and they have to learn in a yeshiva for a few years, and then and only then when they know it all, then they can go and fix others. So the other rabbi got up and told him this story. Says, Now it's a matter of life or death. We use the tools we've got now. Then we will go on. But first of all, save the people. Then you can go on and put more into it. But if you'll wait till everybody will know everything and then go and save the people, there will be nobody to save. And that's an important lesson in life. Sometimes people think, if I want to teach something to somebody, I have to be the best in it. It's right. It's the best thing to do. But sometimes in life, you have to save the moment. And if you don't do it now, next moment, it's not there anymore. You cannot do anything about it. And this is exactly how also what we're doing. You have to say thank you, please. This is something that comes to you automatically. You don't go and ask the Rebbe, should I say thank you or not? It's like this guy is, Rav Adam Sina brings, is sitting in a shiur, and suddenly he wants to tell his friend what he did yesterday. And he thinks to himself, should I do it in the middle of the shiur or not? In the meanwhile, he starts itching the head. Oh, should I itch my head now? Or maybe, first of all, I'll tell my friend, or maybe I listen to the shiur, and then a coffee of the class he had on the table spilled on the table. Oh, should I clean this or shouldn't I? Should I tell my friend? Should I do this? And then his phone starting ringing. He forgot to shut it down. And he started, oh, should I answer the phone or should I shut it down? Or should I clean the coffee? Or should I tell my friend? While all those thinking going on, the shiur was finished. And that's life. You know, there are things that you have to do automatically, even if you don't do the best thing. In other words, to do the mitzvahs. We do the mitzvahs that we do, and we have to know them, and we have to do them without asking questions. Like, know what to do in your daily life. Then, if there are more difficult things, you go and ask. But impossible to go and start and try to reach the highest level in every step in life. Doesn't work like this. And that's a big lesson. And this is what Yitro is telling Moshe Rabbeinu. If you think, Moshe Rabbeinu, that you can teach the people everything, every detail, and they will come and ask you for every small thing, you will be finished and the people will be finished. You give them the tools and you put people in charge. It's every father and mother are in charge of their own family. And then you have people that are in charge on the families. And then you have people that are in charge on the town, on the neighborhood, etc., etc., etc. That's the way to do things. And if we're already talking about hearing the right thing, what is the meaning? Ko tomar lebeit Yaakov v'tagid libnei Israel. So, Kodesh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu to ask the people if they want to get the Torah, want to take the Torah or not. And he says, that's the way you're going to say to the house of Yaakov and talk to the children of Israel. What does it mean? Tomar v'tagid, it's the same thing. And Bet Yaakov and Bnei Israel, it's not the same thing. The house of Jacob and the children of Israel, Israel and Jacob are the same thing. Our Yaakov and Bnei Israel, it's the same thing. So what is the Torah trying to do us? It has to bear special meaning. And the understanding is very simple. In life, you have to know how to pass a message in the way that people that hear you will understand what you're talking about. For example, a year ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I gave a Dvar Torah in Shul in Cologne in Germany. When there was an exhibition. Unfortunately, this year we go nowhere, but this is exactly the time when we have all the exhibitions in the furniture exhibition in Germany. And normally when I get there, I davened there in the shul in Cologne, a very nice shul. Anyway, they asked me one morning, the Rebbe wasn't there, they asked me to say a short Dvar Torah. So, okay, I'm talking now to people, not a lot of people, but, you know, they don't understand so well Hebrew. A few do, but all the others don't. So I was saying this short Dvar Torah in Hebrew and translating it while I'm doing it to German. My German is not so good, but I understood that I have to explain to them, because otherwise to say something that nobody listens, nobody understands, is no point. Anyway, after I finished breaking my teeth, translating and talking Hebrew and German together, gets this guy when I finished and translates everything to Russian. I couldn't believe what's going on here. The fact is that most of the people there don't understand no Hebrew and no German. They're from Russia and they understand Russian. So, in other words, the Dvar Torah was being given in 3 languages. But then I learned this unbelievable lesson. There is no point trying to teach people in a way they don't understand. If you want to pass a message, if you want to educate people, you have to talk with them in their own level and their own language. It's like I went to a family function and was this really great Talmid Chacham there. And he was talking unbelievable things, but it was so high, nobody understand what he says. So again, that's not the way to pass the passion. That's what God is telling Moshe Rabbeinu. If you think you can go to the people and talk with them in a way that everybody will understand it in one way, you have to understand there is a way and there is a way. And it's like we say, Chanoch lanar al pi darko. When we want to educate our kids, we have to approach each one of them in his own level, in his own way, with his own talent. And that's the only way to pass the message. If we look at the great educator that was chosen to be our father, Abraham Avinu, we can go look through the whole Torah. We don't see Abraham Avinu talking. Only once he talks with his son, and this is on Akedat Yitzchak. And this is only a few words. When the son asks him, Yitzchak asks him, where is the lamb? And he says, we will find the lamb. And that's the discussion. In other words, Avraham Avinu was chosen, Leman, that he is the one who's going to pass the message to the generation after generation without talking. And that brings us to Kriyat Shema. And you will tell it to your children. And you will talk about it. What does it mean? Why? When you sleep, you're going to talk with your children? You're going to talk to them when you walk on the way? But the real truth is, that's exactly the thing. To talk and doesn't mean only talking. Talking means when you want to pass the message, you have to do it, show people what you do. In other words, when you sit at home, how do you behave? How do you behave outside? When you're standing on in a place where people are waiting for Kupat Cholim, how do you behave on the road? How do we behave with people in the street? When you come back home from your daily work, are you hungry? How do you behave? Do you shout? Do you talk nicely? What is your behavior? When you go to sleep, how do you go to sleep? What do you say to the people? How do you behave? How do you wake up in the morning? This is the way to educate. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוך בך ובקומך. Your children have to see your behavior 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's the way to educate. That's the way of Avraham Avinu. And that's the way that Kriyat Shema tells us every morning. And that's the way we should do to others. And this brings us to one of the greatest moments of Am Yisrael. When they received the Torah, and it's written, רואים את הקולות, they see the voices. How can you see the voice? And this brings us back to what I said. To see the voices means it's not enough to talk. You have to show them what's the meaning of what you talk. In other words, Avraham Avinu was chosen because he showed the way. He showed the voices. In other words, ro'im et hakolot is to see what it means. How do you see what it means? When you show them what and how to do this or that mitzvah. How to behave to people. He says, v'ahavta le'ra'acha kamocha. What does it mean, v'ahavta le'ra'acha kamocha? You know, this week I've been in the canyon, which is almost everything is shut down except of the Super Sol and Super Farm, and also Roladin was there. And I was with my grandchild, Emily Malka. My Joanne, my wife, went to the dentist, and I took her to the canyon around. And while we're there, I think, do you want a cake or something? We'll buy. And she says, okay, yes, yes, yes. Okay, so I went to Roladin, and I told her to choose what she wants. Took her quite a few minutes to, no, this, that. I can't. Baruch Hashem, she chose what she wants. Okay, the girl there is packing everything, and I'm reaching my hand to the pocket. No wallet. I've got no wallet. What should I do now? She will be very disappointed. I also was disappointed. And I also worried. What happened to my wallet? Where is it? Chas v'shalom, maybe somebody stole it. Chas v'shalom. And I'm telling this girl, sorry, I haven't got and she doesn't understand what I mean. And anyway, this guy hears me and it comes to me. What's the problem? You got no money for the girl? I'll give you. He says, no, I didn't want to take from him. I'll go home and look for the wallet, what it is. And I remember that maybe in the morning I took it out and I forgot. Anyway, the guy insists, no, you cannot disappoint your grandchild. You have to give her. No, I'm insisting, give her. So I says, you know what? And in life, you have to know how to accept things from people. This is also a mitzvah. And the guy paid for those cookies for Emily Malka, and she was happy, and I was happy, and the guy was more happy than all of us. And then he told me, a few weeks ago, I went up north, and on the way back, my car was without gas. I finished all the gas. I had to fill up in a petrol station. No petrol, no nothing. I went to the petrol station. I'm putting the thing in, reaching my hand to the pocket. No wallet. No wallet. What should I do? How do I get back home? I've got no wallet. No credit card, no money, no nothing. And I'm stuck here in the petrol station. No petrol, nothing. I've got nothing. Suddenly this woman that was filling up in front of me is telling me, coming to him, here, take 50 shekel, fill up. And he says, no, yes, take 50 shekel. And he says, when I saw this, I said, I have to do the same. And I learned an unbelievable thing. This is v'ahavta l'recha kamocha. This is the way of the Torah. This is the way we should behave. And nevertheless, if we do good, we influence others to do good. This lady didn't know that because of what she did, what was good by itself, she made this guy to be even better than what he is. And this made Emily to have her cookies and eat them, which is a mitzvah by itself. And this is really unbelievable. This is the way. This is hear the voices. This is seeing the voices. To get to the level of understanding what the Torah wants me. And we have to hear things and understand them. Like the other day, I was going at night on the road, and I'm going on the left side because it was a lot of traffic. And this guy behind me is all the way blinking me and hooting. And I got crazy. I opened the window. I says, "Die, chalas. What do you want from me?" And he's going on. I'm going, what does he want? I've got nowhere to move. What does he want? There's nothing I can do. Suddenly I realized that I'm going at night without lights. And the guy who was hooting and blinking and everything, he just wanted to tell me, you are without lights in the night. And I translated, in other words, it's not only seeing the voices, it's seeing it in the right way. And I will end this shiur in another interesting point of seeing the voices. There is a guy named Guggenheim, and you can Google him, and he did an experiment, and by the way, I think he has got a patent on it, with a seismograph or something, and he tried to talk and say the Hebrew words. As we all know, there are waves of the voice, but we cannot see them. But if you look at the speaker, for example, you see the things moving. This is the voice that makes waves. Anyway, we cannot see them. And one of the explanations is that Am Yisrael saw the waves. They saw the letters in the air. How can you see it? So this guy, Guggenheim, did an experiment, And he found out that the minute that he's talking to the speaker and he's saying Aleph, Bet, the seismograph did something similar to the letter. In other words, it moved according to the letter. Unbelievable. It's not exactly the Aleph, how we know it, but maybe it's because he didn't know how to say it in the right pronunciation. Maybe you have to say it in the Yemenite way or the Ashkenazi way, who knows? But the idea was very simple. He tried to do it with a few other languages. Didn't work. Nothing to do with the letter. Only in Hebrew it works. And I had all this discussion in what way was the Torah given to Am Yisrael. There's a whole discussion about it. But it definitely, the whole Kabbalah is built that we got the Torah with those letters that we know. It doesn't matter how they call it and what happened during. The idea is that those letters are, that we receive the Torah, are holy. The only thing is we have to hear it, see it, and act accordingly in the right way. This is what I really I hope for all of us, that we will hear the voices, see the voices, and hear like Yitro heard, hearing in the right way, not in the wrong way, and hear it not the way it comes from here and gets out from there, but comes here, and here we will translate it to the right thing and do the right things in the eyes of God, which the basic of everything is, ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. This is how we should act. And if we act like this, the influence is going to go also on the others, like it happened to me this week with this guy in Roladin. All the best. Have a nice day and a nice end of the week, whatever.